Hi there, my name is Cate Mackenzie. Welcome to my show. Today I'm sharing with you a lovely interview I did with Jerry Hall many years ago. I suppose you could call it vintage Jerry. And it's really delightful. She talks about her poetry, getting into poetry, writing poetry, all her favourite New Age gurus, and dating, how she wanted to find a man. And of course we know she's found a man, but still at that time she was looking for a man. So I hope that you enjoy it. I thought it was delightful. She was totally delightful. And it's great to share this with you. Thanks. So welcome, Jerry.
Thank you.
Jerry, it's so exciting to talk to you.
Thank you.
And also it feels, just reading about you that obviously you've done many things for, all your life, it seems, many, many things. But it seems like at the moment you're also on another new adventure with your poetry.
Yes, the past 2 years, I used to write poetry when I was a teenager.
All right.
And then I sort of took it up again the past 2 years. I did a poetry course with the Arvon Foundation.
Yeah.
And I had 2 poetry teachers there, Hugo Williams and Greta Stoddard.
Ah.
And it was fascinating to learn about, form and to learn about different ways of writing poetry. I'd been actually, and still am, just reading and writing poetry purely for pleasure.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So now you're publishing your poems and you're reading your poems in public?
Well, yeah, I did.
Yes.
I didn't plan on that, but they asked me, so I said okay. It was very sweet. They were lovely.
I mean, it's very touching because, of course, poetry is a very personal art form.
It is.
And I would imagine, it's a bit like being a comedian or a singer. It's really revealing yourself to do poetry and to share it as well as write it.
Yeah, it is. I love poetry because I think that it's so wonderful when you read something and you just think, I know that moment, I know that feeling, and you just feel you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I found it quite cathartic.
Yeah.
Writing it, and I really didn't plan on sharing it with a wider audience. I was reading it to my sisters and my girlfriends, and they were so encouraging that they sort of said, you should do publish something, see what happens.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic. Did you go to the Arvon Foundation in Hebden Bridge, or did you go to the one down south? Or
Totley, Barton.
Is that down south?
Devon.
Devon, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was just thinking the one in the north is one where Sylvia Plath's house.
Well, I know, and I'm a very big fan of Sylvia Plath's poems.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to that one.
Yes, so that would be amazing. She's buried on the hill up from the house,
Wow.
so it'd be quite an amazing place, I imagine, for you to go and connect with.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
So how was it when you opened with your poetry? Was that a good experience?
It was, yeah. They were very sweet. It was about 150 people in a school auditorium.
It's big.
Most of them older, and there was some hippie kind of looking people in the back, and they were just so nice. There was question and answer, and they just said, well, when are you going to publish your book? And it was very encouraging.
And what did you say?
I said, I don't have any plans now.
But I suppose you never know what's going to happen to you.
You never know. I mean, I've actually not planned very much in my life.
Right.
Everything's kind of happened,
Yeah. Yeah, because I was going to ask you, Jerry.
being a model, I kind of wanted to and got really lucky. And
so
the
model,
having children, everything sort of happened. And I don't know. The poetry is something that I sort of sat down and decided to do, so that's different.
That's so interesting. So when you were a little girl, Jerry, what did you want to be then? When, let's say you were a little below 10, did you have...
I always liked acting.
Yeah.
I loved poetry always from a very small age.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, I never really thought about being a model. It just sort of, dawned on me one day that, maybe I should give it a go, and then was very successful right away. So it kind of became, such an overwhelming thing that took over for so long and lasted so long that I didn't really kind of go. It was so lucrative. I didn't really go into other areas.
So do you feel in a way you're coming to a point where the real you, obviously there is poetry in the modelling because it's aesthetic and
It's a bit of acting.
It's a bit of acting, and
Yeah.
also you have to give. I mean, there's an art form in creating images, isn't
Yeah.
there? So do you feel in a way you're allowed to be more of you now?
I do.
Yeah.
I feel that the poetry, well, for one thing, it's untainted by commerce.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the sort of, thing that you're doing because you want to make money, because there's not a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
But it's just something that I purely for pleasure, that
Yeah.
I feel now I've got time. All my children are in school.
Yeah.
I have more time being divorced, not
Yeah.
traveling so much. And, it's something I just really enjoy doing.
So in some ways it's your truth, your integrity.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think my poems are quite honest and revealing.
Do you think in some ways, now you're divorced, it seems like I mean, if I look at your life, you've always done so much, but since you've been divorced, you've done so many, amazing stage shows like The Graduate, and you're doing recently Vagina Monologues, and do you feel like being divorced has opened up more space for
it was
you?
difficult to make a kind of long commitment like that. I mean, I did The Graduate for 11 months, so it's a big chunk of time.
Yeah.
8 shows a week, and when you have a partner who's traveling and full on, it's very difficult to commit to something like that. So I've been able to do exactly what I like now.
Yeah. and in that space, because you have your children and you have a creative career, does that mean that you could have a different sort of partner than you would have had before as well? You have different choices?
Well, I would definitely not go for a womanizer this time.
Yeah. So
hopefully, learned my lesson.
Yeah, and in that sense of opening up into a new space where poetry is very revealing, it's very intimate. Do you think in that sense that there's more space for a man who would want that with you, a man who would just be devoted to you?
I don't know. I've never heard of such a creature. That'd be nice. If you see him, give him my number.
Well, what was interesting, Jerry, because I've seen you, at a party, and you are an incredibly wonderful woman just to be around, but you're also very, very articulate, funny, and charming. And I mean, really, and it would take a large man, I mean that in spirit, in character, to dare to ask you out, I would imagine. Is that true? Do you find that it would take a man some courage to ask you out?
Possibly, that might be the reason.
Yeah. Maybe once they see the poetry, they can you might get the softer types, do you think? You never know. Once your book's out, they say like attracts like. You might get a nice... Would you like a poet?
That would be nice.
Yeah, with a poet who's solvent, got some money. But no,
someone nice.
Someone nice, exactly. I wish that for you, Jerry.
Thank you.
I do. I wish that for you. So Jerry, since you wanted to be an actress when you were little, but obviously the modelling career took off in a huge way.
Yeah, I did do some odd bits here and there.
Acting.
Yeah. But really got into it full time only the past sort of 8 years.
Yeah. So was it quite natural when you got into it? Did it, because it was something that you had a deep connection to? Was it as soon as you started doing it? It was just something that felt natural to you for you to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
I love comedy especially, and I just love having a live audience.
Yeah.
So exciting every night. It's different. It's instant gratification. You know if it's working by the reaction of the audience. You can kind of feel them. There's a kind of connection you can feel. And I find it very rewarding. I love live theater.
And so have you been enjoying the Vagina Monologues then?
Yeah, that was great fun. Yeah. We went to Cardiff and Southampton on a little tour, and it was wonderful.
And
the actresses I was working with were wonderful and very funny, and the audiences were great. And it was just nice to have a little, I'd done the play before quite a bit. I'd done it in America, and I'd done it in the West End. And it was fun just to go back to it and have a little play.
And what would your vagina say if your vagina was going to say a little something story, you know? Would it have a message?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. That's you know what I wanted to ask you, Jerry, as well is you did a big series on Jerry's Gurus.
Yes.
And of course, you know, it's well known that your sister was ill, and you went on a journey, and you really did huge amounts of research and tried many things out yourself.
Yeah, it was great fun. It was something with BBC Three.
Yeah.
And I had done a similar thing when my twin sister Terry had breast cancer.
Yeah.
She was waiting to have, mastectomy, chemo, radiation, the whole full treatment. And it was quite frightening, and there was a lot of waiting, and I was trying to distract her and also just wanted to do everything possible to make her better. And so I took off a few months, went down to Texas, took my children with me, and we went and tried lots of different things. We went out to California, and we tried all sorts of different healing treatments, and Ayurvedic, Indian kind of treatments, Chinese acupuncture, and homeopathic, and we just did everything, and even sort of kind of funny, wacky ones. We did some sort of Native American cleansing aura treatments, and we did all kinds of things. And it did make her feel better, and it made the time go by, and we felt we were doing something positive, So I got interested in all of those things. But I've always liked natural beauty products. I've always felt prevention was more important, than thinking about cures. And if you eat healthy and constantly have treatments to make sure that you're relaxed and healthy and detoxed. And so I get massages twice a week.
Fantastic.
And I go to see Ayurvedic doctors because they give these hot oil massages and treatments that balance your systems with the change of the seasons.
Wow.
And I do these detoxing diets. So I'm always doing things, as prevention.
Did you do that from early on, Jerry? Was your mum quite health conscious?
My mother was very healthy. We always had a vegetable garden, and we always ate quite naturally. We never had junk food. We never had sodas.
Right.
So, yeah, we were brought up pretty healthy. But I started really getting into all sorts of alternative things when I started modeling, and I went to India when I was 18. Started doing yoga and meditation, and then I started, trying everything because it felt so good.
And what was your favorite? When you searched all these, obviously you're still doing Ayurvedic, seeing Ayurvedic practitioners, but what were the favorite things, or what are the things that you felt worked?
I liked this one treatment. What was it called? There's a man in Ojai, California. He did this thing where he kind of shook you. I forget what it was called. He shook you, sort of rocked you.
Yeah. Were you stood or lying down?
You lie down, and he sort of rocks you.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was called. But I definitely felt something with that one.
What did you feel, like a release? Or you?
Yeah, I did. I felt a huge kind of release of something. But I do think your body stores things, negative emotions and accidents and toxins. And so I think you have to keep moving it and watching your thoughts and trying to stay positive.
Do you do yoga or dance in order to do that?
I do. I do yoga, and I swim, and I walk. I love walking outside, and I love gardening, and I recently taken up golf.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of men there.
It's a good hunting ground.
Certainly is.
Right age group.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll probably fall over backwards for you there. Especially if you can
Very
play
nice,
golf.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm actually, and I have massages sort of twice a week.
That's
And
great.
I think you just have to be really gentle with yourself, and give yourself treats and look after yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's important because life gets so busy and so stressful.
That's right.
I mean, I do the school run every day because I just love to spend that time with my kids. And, it gets quite tiring by the end of the school term.
Yeah.
Quite tired out, and then you do things in between and work. And so I try and be gentle with myself. And I have early nights, a couple of nights a week, and drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
And don't drink too much alcohol.
Yeah.
And, just everything in moderation.
What's an early night, Jerry? What would be early?
9:30.
9:30.
That's pretty early, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great. So you get a lot of sleep. You make sure you get some sleep.
I do. I mean, I like to go to bed early and read a bit, and then, have a good 10 hours.
What would be?
Nice.
Wow, that's fabulous. What would be your favorite thing to read at the moment?
I love reading poetry at the moment. That's what I've been reading non-stop.
Wow.
I
heard
love
you like
Raymond
Wendy Cope.
Carver, Elizabeth Bishop.
Oh.
Lots of different poets. Ted Hughes, Emily Dickinson.
Fantastic.
I'm reading a lot of poetry.
Oh, that's so romantic, isn't it? So romantic. And I
I'm
suppose
pretty dull, really.
Well,
I enjoy it.
And are you finding you're going to poetry gigs where you're hearing other poets, and as well as when you?
I have done that a few times. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So what would you say, Jerry? Would you say you're a conformist or a rebel? Would you say that, or maybe both?
I think I don't know. I love rebelling. No, if something's very, very in style, a dress, and I like it, I'll buy it, but I won't wear it for a few years. I hate wearing the same thing everyone else is wearing at the moment.
That is so fantastic, Jerry. Where did you get this amazing energy from? Was your mum like this? How did this, you get that kind of like great, just doing that, for example? Where did you get this energy?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it just in you from little growing up?
Maybe I have a lot of mad relatives in Texas. Yeah.
So like, did your mum get you to stick to certain rules as well as, like, obviously you got this great side to you which just is free, but was there a side to you which had to follow rules and had to work as well, because you have this incredible ability to work?
My grandmother was very much idleness is the devil's workshop, and you had to be busy. She thought you had to be busy all the time doing things.
Yeah.
And our mother was, sort of, she's very ladylike.
Yes.
So we had a lot of rules about how to behave.
Yeah. Because that's the great thing about you. There's a thing about you which is like a very sexy goddess.
Oh, thank
but
you.
Also very ladylike. So it's kind of like this mixture of like passion with a lot of kind of
Protestant training.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
As the Ayurveda released the Protestant training. Is that what it is? So is it the mixture? So and also obviously you're a Texan, but you've lived in England now for a long time.
Yeah, I've been living here about 20 years now.
So how does that feel as well on top of your Texan?
It feels like home. I mean, my children went to school here, and all my friends are here. I love it here.
And Jerry, who do you admire? Who inspires you in life?
So many people. must say, I really admire Mother Teresa. I'm sure a lot of people say that, but I think people like that who look after people who are so ill and so wretched. And I'd be quite frightened to do that. You know, I think it's such a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah.
To be an Indian in the middle of these ghettos and just to go on and on like that, looking after people.
Yeah. But it is noticeable, Jerry, that you also, I mean, I've got the list of the things that you do, and you do seem to say yes to so many charities yourself, you know.
I know.
In
well,
terms
I think
of support.
There's such, you know, especially children, they just can't really help themselves, so they need people to help them.
So what do you do, for example, for the NSPCC Full Stop campaign?
Well, I helped them to raise £1 million.
Wow.
And I've done several promotional things, television commercials for, you know, stop hitting.
Oh, wow.
And
what do you are you the voiceover, or you go on as yourself?
I've gone on as myself, yeah. And you know, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, parents are you know, we're all human. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And people do make mistakes, but I think they need to, you know, try to seek help.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of times the people who, you know, are abusing their children were abused themselves, and they haven't been healed. And you know, it's not like I think they're horrible people. I think they're damaged.
Yeah. And
they need help too. So, you know, the NSPCC, you know, tries to help parents too. You know, single moms who get stressed out, they can't cope. You know, our society, everyone just lives in their own little world and doesn't help each other. And, you know, I think that we really have to reach out more, you know, and help people who are going through difficult times.
And what do they do? Do they give them parenting classes? What do they do?
They do, and they have wonderful books, which I found very helpful. You know, because Mick's a wonderful dad, but he's not living here. I'm on my own. And, you know, they just teach you how to say no, what kind of discipline you should do. I found it extremely helpful. They have these books they give out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, parenting skills.
Parenting,
you know, because if you're not taught by your own parents, how do you know?
Exactly. I mean, the thing that comes across actually about you, Jerry, as well, even though you're so creative, and my goodness, there's virtually not an area in creativity that doesn't look like you've connected to.
Thank you.
Yeah, which is so impressive as a, you know, as a mum with 4 children. But you're also, how you come across is also a devoted mum. And so I would love to know, what do you think about being a mum and about...
Well, I think that's the greatest creation, having children. There's nothing greater than that. I love being a mum.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because you just, you know, when you have one child, and I was expecting my second, you think, oh my God, how will I love this new one the same? And then your heart just grows bigger each time.
Wow.
You manage to love them all again the same, you know.
It's a heart-opening experience in a way. Each child opens you more?
Yeah, I mean, what? Oh, no, would I have more?
No, does each child open you more in a way?
Oh, yeah, I think they do, yeah. And I think they just so enrich your life. Children are such fun and so wonderful, the amazing things that they say. And I think you really do learn, you know, you really mature and you learn a lot about yourself being a parent. I think your children can teach you an awful lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so proud of my kids. They're all great.
What would you say to mums who are perhaps single mums and they're trying to cope and they're trying to work and what would you say to give them some kind of, you know, sense of hope about being a mum?
Well, I think that they shouldn't be ashamed about admitting that they're having difficulty coping, and they should reach out.
Yeah.
Because there's always people who really are kind and really do want to help. And they should reach out to friends, to family, to neighbors, you know, to organizations like the NSPCC. There's a lot of people who understand how difficult it is and really do want to help. So I think the important thing to do is reach out. And also be easy on yourself. I mean, you don't have to do everything perfectly. You know, sometimes you just need to rest, and sometimes things are good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very useful
Important
because I
to be
think
lazy sometimes.
people give themselves a hard time.
Yeah.
And measure themselves against things that they think other people are doing, and actually,
I think the most important thing you can give a child is love.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, but if you love your children, they're going to be fine.
Yeah. And you know, when you say just give your child love, in that sense, does that be being with them, or how you feel about them, and letting them know you love them, or?
I think, yeah, time is important. And I think, praising them, finding their good qualities, not always, because you can get into a rut where you only are telling them off, you know.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget that, you're not telling them how great they are, you know. And so you need to let them know how great they are. I think it's very important to keep a child's self-esteem intact and growing. And for them to be able to mature into a healthy adult, they need to have a good, healthy self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And it's really the parents who give them that, you know. And the first few years are so important, you know, to just be sure and tell them how happy you are that you had them, how wonderful they are, and find things that they're good at that you can praise. And, you know, I mean, with my kids, sometimes you get so fed up in the morning, you're trying to get them to put their shoes on, and they won't put their shoes on, and you're late, you're going to be late for school. And I would just, instead of losing my temper, I would just sit down and say, okay, let's not put our shoes on. Then you just sit there a while, and they get sort of bored, and then they put their shoes on.
So
but,
there's
you know,
like
it's hard to remember not to lose your temper.
Yeah. So there's something about accepting. That's what it's coming across, about accepting what's happening in the moment and then seeing if something changes.
Yeah. And then also I think they love to be encouraged to be creative.
Yeah.
You know, drawing and writing and reading stories to them. I think reading them stories is very important.
So in some ways, do you think the fact that you're on this amazing creative path is quite inspiring for your children?
Children will learn by example better than anything else. So whatever you're doing, they'll be doing. You know.
And you know, the other thing is slightly off to the left side, but you know, I know that you're global ambassador for Levitra, which is for erectile dysfunction.
Yes.
So, so I was just thinking, like you're in a way, there's compassion for men there.
Well, you know, it can be a problem.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, you know, something happens when you get older.
Yeah.
You know, but sadly we get old on the outside, but not on the inside.
Yeah.
The inside we're still young, and still want to have, you know, loving intimacy.
That's right. That's right. So do they find? So you must be in that way. They picked you so that you must be. They must feel that you're a supportive ambassador. Then that men would find you supportive to talk about that kind of issue.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact,
well, I mean, I'm not ashamed of talking about taboo subjects.
Isn't that great?
You know, because I think that these things do need to be talked about, because I think the real enemy is shame.
Absolutely.
Shame is what drowns people and makes people feel so depressed. And, you know, airing things out can be such a relief.
So when you're an ambassador, do you talk about, you know, sex and what they can do and what can happen for them and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've given some speeches. I went to China.
Wow.
And a few other places for them, yeah.
Wow. So, and in that sense, Jerry,
And they were very shy in China.
So, and also, Jerry, because you are a very, you know, you're a beautiful woman, you're a very sexy woman. So in that sense, how is that for you? Because you're also highly intelligent and highly educated and done so many things.
Oh, thank you.
How do you find that mix, you know, for you to be all of it? And the way people treat you and the way men treat you, or do you find they're respectful to you? Do you find, how does that work? If you see what I mean, with being an icon, you know, in that sense, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. No. I think people are nice everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I suppose the thing is, Jerry, which maybe you wouldn't compliment. You are also very charming to people, so perhaps you're also extremely gracious to people, even if, however they would be, if they would be shy or in awe of you, you have a gracious demeanor towards others. So maybe that
Oh, well,
allows them.
thank you. You've given me so many compliments.
well,
I
well,
won't
it's
be able to get my head out the door.
something I noticed. I did notice about it because I can imagine. I know some actresses myself, and they can have. I mean, I'm not saying this is about you, but some actresses may never get asked out, and that's because guys assume that they could never dare. They couldn't dare ask them out. They couldn't
Yeah.
dare go near them because they're so beautiful, and and it can be tricky for very beautiful women sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Only the womanizers seem to have courage.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? That's true. So yeah, the women, yeah. So what in
No, I have dated some very nice men.
yeah, yeah. Was your dad a womanizer?
Yeah, he was a bit.
He
Yeah.
was. Ah, okay. And now, do you feel, having been with a womanizer, do you feel that you've resolved that you wouldn't choose that again?
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, because they say we do stuff until we've had enough,
I
don't
know.
they? We'll go through the same things until
I think I have. Yeah,
you've
I
had
think I've
enough.
got over that
Yeah.
phase.
So
Thank God.
what now, Jerry? Are you out?
Well, I'm about to go off. I have a lovely summer holiday with my children and my twin sister, and then in the fall, I'm doing this play. It's a fundraiser for the Arvon Foundation.
Oh, fantastic! Where
The
are you doing
Trial
that?
of Mrs. Belle Epoque. It's in October.
Yeah.
October 8th or 9th or something.
Yeah. Are you
Can't
doing that in
remember.
London
Yeah,
or
in London.
London?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then I'm hosting this television show, Britain's Next Top Model.
Oh.
Presenting it, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jerry, how do you feel about modelling now? Obviously, you came through in the 70s, which was a particular sort of time, and modelling it's changing and different things are happening and people are talking about it in different ways. How do you feel about modelling now?
Well, I see a lot of what's going on because my daughter Elizabeth is
yeah.
modeling, and she's doing all the Marks and Spencer's
Yeah.
ads,
Yeah.
and I'm so proud of her. Yesterday we gave a baby shower for our agent. We have the same agent, and all the young model girls came over, and Erin O'Connor and a whole bunch of these lovely girls, and they were all so sweet and so beautiful and so sweet. They were just adorable.
Yeah.
No, I think that the newspapers make a big thing out of everything. I mean, these are young girls.
Yeah.
Of course, I think there are quite a few girls who are too skinny.
Yeah.
But young girls are quite skinny.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I don't think that fashion magazines and modeling make girls have anorexia. I just don't go for that.
Yeah.
I think anorexia is caused from some sort of serious abuse.
Yeah.
Some sort of trauma. I mean, it's a serious illness. I don't know whether it's some sort of child abuse of some sort. I don't know. I mean, I think that's what I've heard from people I've known who've had that. It's something like that has happened to them.
And do you feel positive
So
about
I
modelling?
think anorexia is not caused from flicking through Vogue,
Yeah.
But a lot of the girls are really, really thin. But I guess, I don't know, they are, aren't they? When they're like 16, they're very tall. They haven't filled out yet.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel in a way it gave you a lot, modelling?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it was wonderful. I traveled the world. I met wonderful people. I managed to make good money and buy land in Texas. And no, it was very, very good modeling.
And what would you say, Jerry, if you were going to say, something to somebody about living a good life, being open, because obviously the one thing that's amazing about you is that obviously you've said yes to so many things. You've stayed open.
Yeah.
Like you said, they've come your way, but you've said yes to them.
Yeah, I've always believed that things that came my way for some reason.
So what would you say to other people, who are thinking, gosh, I'd like to be more creative, I'd like to live a better life?
Well, I think that you should follow your passion. You should do the thing you love. And this is what I tell my children. I say, I don't care if you don't make money. You can always live with me. I'll always look after you.
Oh.
But I want you to do something you love.
Yeah.
Follow your passion. If you do something you love,
yeah.
then you'll be good at it.
Yeah.
And then, it'll be a success.
Yeah.
I think that, often people, they don't explore enough. There's too much pressure. I think there's way too much pressure, academic pressure, and not enough, creativity.
Yeah.
I think it's important to daydream when you're young,
yeah.
sleep a lot, which they do, but to also dabble in lots of different things to see if you have talent in these different avenues,
So that is such a fantastic message, actually, because, teenagers who love to sleep, as you've just said, they need that encouragement to be creative and be allowed to be creative.
Yeah. I mean, they're growing, you see, so you only grow in your sleep, so they do need a lot of sleep.
Yeah. And Jerry, what would your motto be for life?
Let's see. I think life is really for fun.
Yeah.
I think life is all about having a really good time.
Yeah.
And, not hurting anyone else.
Yeah.
But I'd say, try to have fun and enjoy yourself. It's short.
Well, Jerry, it's so wonderful chatting to
Thank you.
What a generous gift you've given us today. So exciting to chat to you and really inspiring. I hope it's inspired loads and loads of other people there, perhaps to get out and do poetry or something that follows their own passion. You are an amazing woman. You've done so many things as a woman, and I think really help us all to think we can all grow, we can all expand and have children, which is great. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that was Jerry. Isn't she a love? She's one of life's amazing survivors, really. Utterly successful on one level, but been through a lot on another level. And yet you can hear, she swims every day, she looks after her health and her body and her food and her mind. And she's still taking risks, exploring, opening up to her poetry, to her art, finding her way in life, and vulnerable enough to express herself and say what she needs and wants. So quite an interesting and amazing person. So thank you, Jerry. Great privilege to chat to you.